Hello. Good afternoon, Rekha ma'am.
गुड इवनिंग मैम।
Good evening. Good evening. कैसे हो?
मैं अच्छी हूँ मैम, आप कैसे हो?
Good, good.
अभी तक तो एक ही स्टूडेंट आया है, क्या करे?
देखते हैं 2 मिनट. They always come in late.
देखते फिर मैं।
हाँ. Hello. Good afternoon, Jay.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How are you?
Fine.
Okay. So, how is it going with you?
Ma'am, last class I did not attend. So, ma'am, yesterday's class because I had
No,
SAT.
yesterday we didn't have any class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
My
because of
thought.
the SAT, there was no lecture yesterday.
Okay.
So, how did your SAT go?
Ma'am, it was good.
Good.
Yes.
Very nice. So, this was your second attempt, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So hopefully you're hoping for a good score.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So from the previous session, did you get time to practice anything?
No, ma'am, because I was practicing SAT.
Yeah. Anyway, you can start practicing now
Yes, ma'am.
since the SAT is over. Hello, good afternoon, Akhil.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yeah. How are you? So Akhil, did you also take the SAT yesterday?
No, I've given an SAT before.
Okay, yeah. You had a good score anyway.
Yes.
Hello, Aditya.
No, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Can we see you?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second. I'm connecting my camera.
Hello, Saransh. Can we have all your videos on? That will be nice because we will require your videos on anyway. Hello, Suhana.
Good evening मैम।
Good evening. So, Suhana, did you also have your SAT yesterday?
नो मैम।
No? Okay. Okay, you are appearing later on, right?
यस मैम।
Saransh, are you there? Okay, so Akhil and Suhana, did you practice any of the reading and listening chapters? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I did a reading passage.
Okay. So all of you have got the link to the material, study material, along with the tracks. It was posted on the WhatsApp group. Yeah, Suhana, you've got the material?
यस मैम।
Okay. Yes, Aditya. So you are joining for the first time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you've missed our previous sessions. Anyway, we will be doing the reading and listening again. We'll go back to it later on. So you can catch up with us. Anyway, so Aditya, you've written your SAT?
Yes, ma'am. Once I've written, I'm going to appear for the second time sometime soon.
Okay. So sometime soon is in August.
Yeah, probably somewhere like that. December or
December.
August or like October attempt is there, right?
If you are applying this year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think August attempt would be good. October attempt would be a little late,
Okay, ma'am.
right? So if you are planning to attempt, planning for another attempt, go for the August attempt. So what
Okay,
was
ma'am.
your score for the first attempt?
Ma'am, it was 1340.
1340. Okay. Yeah. So you can go up to at least a 1400 number you can get.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but do take the August attempt so that your scores come in on time for your application. Okay, yes, Saransh. So, did you also write the SAT now?
No, ma'am.
No, no. Okay, I just spoke to you. Yes, Varun, good evening. Okay, so now we will begin. I think there are people who haven't come in as yet. Anyway, hello, Rekha ma'am, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Rekha ma'am, ये बाकी बच्चे जो नहीं आए हैं, can you please follow up with them so
Yes,
that they can attend the session and not miss out.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now now everyone has the study material, at least the PDFs and the tracks, right? So the tracks are very important because you please download and save them. Yeah. So the study material, maybe the written material you can get in your book, the printed matter, but the tracks are not available in print. So those will be very important. So we have done the reading section. Now those who are, since all of you are preparing for SAT and have appeared for SAT in fact, so everyone has done quite a lot of reading, right? So that's why we kept the reading section a little short, just one session for that. Of course, we'll be coming back with the reading and listening again for practice after we finish the other session. Okay. So now today we will be beginning with the speaking section. And this is very crucial. Now, one thing everyone, I had told you last time also, that each sectional scores are also very important. So it's not that you do very well in the reading and listening and get a low score in speaking and writing. So these are all equally important, right? So since they are equally important, you have to be, and one thing you must remember that speaking and writing, as well as of course the reading and listening, they all require a lot of practice, especially speaking. Because this is one section which you have not appeared for any test so far, right? Did you have a speaking test in school? Anyone?
Yeah, I've had the speaking test for the last 3 years.
Okay. So at least you know you have been through something. Anybody else has had speaking tests? So how good are you at speaking? Say Akhil. How good are you at extempore speaking? Not learning something and giving a speech. Offhand, given a topic, would you be able to formulate your thoughts and speak quickly?
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Suhana?
Ma'am, I think if I'm given like a few minutes to prepare, I think I can speak extensively.
Few minutes to prepare. Okay. Jay,
I'm given some time for preparation.
how much time?
I'm like 5 to 10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, so I think Aditya and Saransh also would say that given some time, you would be able to prepare, right? Okay, now in your TOEFL speaking, you will be counting your time in seconds, right? So now we will come to the test. I will just share the screen. Now I am using the PDF itself, so it becomes a little easier for everybody. Okay, so now when we talk about the speaking section, first I'll just give you an overview of the entire section, and then we will go on task wise. So when I say task wise, it would be like one task at a time we will do, and I would require you to practice for each task. Yeah. Now, here in the TOEFL exam, you will be speaking into a microphone, and whatever you are speaking will be recorded. Right? There's no examiner sitting across the table and asking you questions. So that is good in a way, and there's also risky. Now, one thing you have to be very careful during the test, you have to check your microphone, and you also have to get your recording system checked so that it is ensured that whatever you are speaking is going to get recorded. Yeah. So if something is not recorded, you will be missing out on whatever you said. And another thing, now you will get just a microphone and headphones. So, and nothing else as such apart from your pencil and rough paper, right? And if you have any problem in the microphone, of course, you can always raise an alarm and ask the invigilator, whoever would be there to help you out. And anyone thinking of taking a home test for TOEFL? No, yes? Okay, good. So I would advise take a test at the center, which is much better and less hassle. And it is not like it won't be difficult if you come up, because in a home test we've seen usually some issue crops up, and then resolving that issue becomes a big problem, right? Okay, so now in the speaking section you have 4 tasks. Now we call them tasks, we don't call them questions as such, because there are 4 things you have to do, four speaking tasks you will be given. First task will always, now one thing is important, you have to keep in mind, you have to get used to what the tasks are. They will come one after the other. So you will know exactly what task 1 is going to be, what task 2 is going to be, similarly for task 3 and 4. So mentally you have to be prepared that this is the task, this is my preparation, this is how I am going to respond, right? And now the total time that will be given, that this entire speaking section will take, is 17 minutes, right? And not that you have any control over the time. The timer will be on, and one after the other tasks will keep coming, and you will get your time to speak. There will be like an instruction will keep coming, which you can hear. They will be telling you that this is the question, they will read the question out to you. Then and like in the independent task, as I said, your time will be measured in seconds. So you get 15 seconds to prepare.
15 seconds to prepare
for your independent speaking task. So the question will be given to you, it will also be read to you, and then the instructor or the voiceover will tell you that now you can begin speaking, and your timer will be there for 15 seconds. Now, once that 15 seconds is over, again the voiceover will come and tell you that now you can start speaking after the beep. So there'll be a beep and you start speaking after the beep. So whatever
Okay,
you say,
so
yes. Correct.
when it says that we can, the first time when it says we can start speaking, that just means we have 15 seconds to like prepare our speech.
No, start preparing. You can
Yeah, so
you
that
get
is,
15 seconds to prepare.
and
So
then the
after
beep
the
starts, and then
yeah,
then it will start recording, and we have to
yeah.
start speaking.
And
Okay.
you will not speak before the beep. Whatever you say before the beep will not get recorded.
Okay.
Yeah. And you will get 45 seconds to speak. Right? So now you know that when you are practicing, those seconds, measuring your time in seconds is extremely important. Because here every single second counts. So the beep goes and then you wait or you are stumbling a little, you are start thinking after the beep, so you are losing out on about 5 to 10 seconds, right? So that's why practice is very important. Maybe the first few days you practice, you perform terribly. You don't know how to start, you don't know how to end. Maybe you have taken 60 seconds instead of 45 seconds. So when you are practicing, one thing you will always do when practicing for your speaking task. Number one, always have the timer on. Yeah, set your timer and go according to the timer and see how much you have been able to speak in 45 seconds. Right? Secondly, always record what you speak. Why? Because that will help you in finding your mistakes and improving on them. Right? So when you are speaking, always number one, have your timer on. Number two, record what you say. After you finish speaking, you go back to your recording. And you can send me your recordings also so that I can analyze. So you can also analyze for yourself that have you been able to speak properly? Have you fulfilled all the requirements of the question? Was it fluent? How many times did you stop? Did you repeat something? So you will know where you need to improve. So in the consequent task, in the consequent attempts of the questions that you would be doing, you would know where you went wrong and how to improve. So ultimately, say in about a week's time with regular practice, you will be absolutely perfect in your speaking task. Yeah. Now these and okay, so that the first task is the speaking is the independent task, and the second, third, and fourth are integrated tasks. So integrated task means you'll have something to read and then listen. Say the task number two. Task number two is you read a little either a notice or flyer or something relating to a campus situation, and then you listen to a conversation between two students.
Which read
Right?
something related to
Either a notice or some information shared by the university regarding something. Yeah. And then you will be listening to a conversation between two students. And all this reading the whatever is given to you, they will give you time to read. They will give you time to listen, and those timings are not counted in your preparation time or your speaking time. Right? So after you have finished reading, they will give you say about a minute to read or about 40. If it is short, then 45 to 50 seconds to read. Then you will be listening to a conversation, and then after that a question will come up. You will get your time to prepare. For the integrated task, you get 20 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. So there's a difference in the timing between the independent task and the integrated task, right? So independent task, 15 seconds to prepare, 45 seconds to speak. Integrated tasks, all of them, 20 seconds to prepare, 60 seconds to speak. Yeah, so that you have to remember that this is my timing to speak. Yeah,
It's for how much time was it to prepare for independent and integrated?
independent is 15 seconds, integrated is 20 seconds. Yeah, if you go through your study material, you'll get all the details from there also, but it's always good to write it down. Right? So now this you have to, so you have to be mentally prepared. That is very important for your speaking task. You have to be mentally prepared to be able to prepare a topic in 15 seconds and speak on it for 45 seconds. And for the integrated task, to be able to assimilate all the information in 20 seconds and then speak for 60 seconds. So you have to get it into your mind. This is very important. So in the, say in the independent task, you ended up speaking for 60 seconds. So anything beyond the 45 seconds will not be recorded. Right? So it's not that you think that, okay, I haven't finished, let me finish it, but it's of no use because after 45 seconds, there will be another beep and nothing will be recorded beyond that. Okay. So you have to be able to prepare an answer and give your response in the limited time. Right? Okay, so this was your format. Now coming to the scoring part of it, as I told you earlier, each of the independent tasks is scored out of on a scale of 4. So it's a grading. It's not really marks, it's a grading. And the total score of all the tasks, in your TOEFL result, you will not get scores for individual tasks. You will get a total score. So irrespective of whether you got a 2 out of 4 in one and 4 out of 4 in the other, your total score will come and you will not know your grades. You will only know the scale score out of 30. So this is what you will be getting, right? Scale score out of 30. So they have a table for the scale score. Say out of 16, if you get say 14, maybe you end up with a scale score of 26 or 27. If you get say 15 and a half, then you will be getting a score of about 28 or 29. Yeah, a perfect score will give you of course 30. So there will be a range of scores, and that doesn't matter. You have to be able to score the highest, that is 4. We will come to the different parameters on which this score is given. So don't worry, we'll do all the details. Now, like here, just a general overview of the scoring. What are they looking at when they are scoring your task or your response? So first is whether you are fulfilling what the task is asking you to do. Say you in the independent task, you have a question and whether you have answered the question properly. Your response is according to what the question is asking you, right? Next, so and of course, there could be minor lapses which can be overlooked. Your grammar should be correct, that the language part will come to. So now coming to the delivery. Now, if you say what do they mean by fulfilling the task? Your answer should be number 1 according to the question. It should be complete. Yeah, intelligible means your points should be good enough. Yeah, so not like a third or fourth standard response, but a mature response with well thought out points, right? It should be coherent, that is whatever you're speaking, not that you need an accent such as the Native American accent or the British accent, You can speak in your own accent, doesn't matter, as long as your pronunciation is okay and it is your pace, like you don't speak too fast or too slow, and the examiner should understand what you have said. That is important.
Ma'am, so for like the integrated task, like you said, for listening, is it like possible that we get like different accents in the recordings?
Yeah, you make it. Usually, you remember in the listening section, we went through some conversations and lecture. So the same type of accent will be there.
Okay.
So it's not something that you will not be able to understand, right? Only thing that you have to be able to take down your notes. So listening to anything, taking down notes is important because nothing will be repeated, right? Okay. So when we are talking about the delivery, it will be a clear, fluid speech. That is what they will be looking at. Your pronunciation, yeah, and your confidence level will come out from your pacing of the speech and your intonations. So how you speak, how you fluctuate your voice. It's not a recitation or speech competition, right? This is more like a conversation. So instead of the examiner sitting in front of you and asking you a question, you are talking into a mic, but your approach will be the same as an interview. If somebody was asking you the question, how would you respond? The same way, it's like you're talking to somebody, right? Okay, usage of language is also very important. So your grammar should be correct. It's the same thing as when you are writing, right? And no use of slang. That is not acceptable. Your vocabulary should be good enough. Now they will be looking at your vocabulary. It doesn't have to be very high level vocabulary, but a mature vocabulary, usage of appropriate words when required. Maybe instead of a long drawn out sentence, you can say it in a short phrase, an appropriate phrase. Yeah. So you have to be able to work on your vocabulary and phrasal verbs of idiomatic expression, all those as you did in SAT, the same things will be applying here, only that this is speaking. Now this speaking task, like when we come to the topic development, it is something I would say similar to writing a short paragraph. You're given a topic, say you're given a topic about say your opinion, or say we should be allowed mobile phones in school. Yeah, do you agree or disagree? Now, when you say that, then how would you be writing it in say 100 to 120 words, right? So it is the same approach. You begin with a topic sentence, and we will come to the exact templates also, how to go about it. So this is just a general idea of what you are going to be expecting, right? So once you know what you are expecting, it is easier for you to prepare. So this I already told you, your task 1. So we will be beginning with the independent task now. We won't focus on all of them together. We'll do them one by one, right? Now coming to the independent task, 15 seconds to prepare. So how much will 15 seconds be? Now, I think last year during the pandemic, you were all asked to wash your hands for 15 seconds. Remember? How long was that? Quite a bit. So you could think of a lot of things while you were washing your hands, right? So 15 seconds in reality isn't too little if you use it properly. Yeah. And 45 seconds to respond. Initially, you will find that 45 seconds you cannot really speak so much. You don't have enough ideas to cover 45 seconds. But slowly, as you practice, you will find that 45 seconds is not too much, you have too many ideas to say, right? So now we have to be able to express ourselves in that 45 seconds, right? So the timing is very important. Don't get perturbed by the timing because it is very easy to actually say an entire paragraph in 45 seconds with all your points properly laid out. Yeah. So we will get to the strategy of answering this. So now the types of topics you will be getting will be general topics, nothing for which you will require previous knowledge. Yeah, something usually it is based on your own ideas or opinions and experience. Say you have visited a certain place, or maybe they could ask you, what type of books do you like to read? Would you prefer reading fiction, or would you prefer reading some historical books? Yeah, so you can pick up, and always you will be picking up one side and giving your reasons and examples to support your argument. Yeah, so it's as simple as that, right? And once you start practicing and once you start doing some of the tasks, you will realize that it's not very difficult. Uh, so so as I said, there will be the personal experience questions. There's something you like to do, or what is in your experience. Say you visited some place, they may ask you about that, or it could be opinion based question. There's only one question, it could be either of the two. So an argument is given to you, or a situation is given to you that some people prefer this and some people prefer that. What do you prefer and why? Or there's a certain statement given, and what is your opinion on this topic? Explain with reasons and examples. Right? So those are the type of questions that will come up. So now we'll just give you an idea of a question. So something like this will come up on your screen, right? So the directions will be read out to you. So like now you will be asked to give your opinion about a familiar topic. Give yourself 15 seconds to prepare your response, then record yourself speaking for 45 seconds. After that, the question will appear, and the question can also be read out to you. So now if you see here the question is, which school would you rather attend? So these are the option questions, like 2 or 3 options could be given to you, and out of that is the same thing. If you simplify the question, it amounts to what type of school would you want to attend. Yeah, only the options are given to you: a smaller school with smaller class sizes and more personal interaction with the professors. Second option is a large school with more computer facilities and more opportunities for extracurricular involvement. Now this part, that is this last part, will always be there. Use specific reasons and examples to support your choice. So when the examiner is listening to your response, they will be looking out for reasons to support what you are saying and examples, right? So now one trick I can give you, like to extend that 15 seconds to a little more. Like, this is task number 1, right? Now, as soon as the question appears, quickly read it, and it will be read out to you also. So while you are listening to the question, you are already starting to formulate your thoughts. So take your pen and paper and jot down points immediately, right? As soon as the question appears on the screen, you start writing down your points. Yeah. So that 15 seconds you can extend to 20 seconds this way. And then they will be coming up with, now you will hear the beep and start talking after the beep. So when that comes up, you are composing yourself and getting ready to speak, right? So these little strategies will help you in managing your time properly and responding within the given time, right? Okay, now this is say this is your question. Now you've already read the question. We read it together. You can put down now when they say reasons and examples. Let me see, without any guidelines as such, how would you fare? Anyone wants to try? Okay, you can take a few seconds to get your points together. Okay. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll ask any one of you to speak. I'll put on a timer for 45 seconds and we'll see if it is possible or how much can we speak in 45 seconds. Yeah. Okay, so let's see who. Yes, Saransh, are you there? Can you have your video on, please? Saransh? Saransh, please respond. Yeah. And all of you, please have your video on so it becomes a little easier for everyone to see each other and respond. Okay, so Akhil, right? So this was your question. I'm putting the timer on. Okay, you can start responding. Yes, you can start responding. Akhil?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I personally prefer a larger school with more computers and opportunities because I believe that the school that offers more opportunities to a child has better prospects in education. And especially in the current world where there's a huge importance on the computer education, I believe that the biggest school with more opportunities will be better place for me to study.
Okay. So that's it?
Yeah,
Yeah. So do you think you spoke for 45 seconds?
I think it's less than 45 seconds.
Yeah, you spoke for about say 30 or 35 seconds. Yeah. So you had a few points and you did speak, but yes, you could have spoken more. Yeah. So that's where your practice comes in. While you keep practicing, you will be able to organize your answer and speak to the full length of 45 seconds. Right? Okay, now we have another question down here. Anybody else who wants to try this particular question? Anyone?
Which one? Second one.
No, the first one itself. If you have any other points that you want to mention. Yes, Varun, would you want to?
Of which one? The same one, or can I
Yeah.
take?
Okay, you want to take the second one? You may take the second one. Of
No,
course.
no. I want to take the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can support any of the points that are given to you.
Okay.
Yes, you may begin.
Okay. I would personally prefer a smaller school with smaller classes where more personal interaction with the professors is possible. This is because a smaller class means that the means that the professors can interact more with the students and spend more time on each student, helping them out with whatever doubts and problems they may have. A smaller classroom will also allow the students to have better relations with themselves and it'll allow them to socialize easily. Although this means that the professors will know. Actually, I'm not. I
Okay.
didn't have any other points.
Okay. So that was fine.
I went too
Uh,
fast. I was planning on.
Yeah, you used all your 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was the problem you faced while responding?
So it was like I had the points and I was looking at them, but it was that I was having trouble like stringing them together
Hmm.
like properly so that it didn't like my sentences were breaking
Right.
like a lot. So it was like I had a problem in formulating sentences.
Okay. So, Akhil, what was the problem that you faced?
I didn't have many points. I had the better facility point and the better computer point that I could expand on, but I didn't think of more points.
Okay.
I have some more now, but I
Yeah.
have
So
at
this
that
was
time.
offhand. Of course, you were not prepared to think on those lines as such, but still you could give some points. Now, one thing you have to remember when we are talking about any of these independent speaking questions, you have to be very specific about your reasons. So, at least 2 reasons supported by 2 examples should be there. So, 1 example for each reason. So, that gives you the space for A, expanding, and B, organizing your answer, right? So if you look at this particular question, which school would you rather attend? So you can choose any one of them, right? Now, it is not always necessary that you choose the one which should be correct. Now, in these questions, one thing you have to remember, there is no right or wrong answer. You can support any of the sides and give your opinion accordingly, right? So when you are supporting any of the sides, it doesn't mean that you don't have to think what the examiner will think about your response, whether it is correct or not, right? So you have your opinion, you are supporting your opinion with reasons and examples. That is more important. Your reasons should be strong enough and examples have to come in. So you can use personal examples in these cases. So what is your experience with smaller classes? Or what is your experience with a larger school with more computer facilities? Yeah. So maybe you attended a class with us where there were only about 15 students. What was the advantage that you faced or you had? So and vis a vis, now in these, that it is not also the hard and fast rule that you have to speak on only one side. You can talk about the advantages of one and then go on to the disadvantages of the other. But you remember that you are supporting only one side. So maybe you don't have enough points to support that a smaller school with a smaller class size is better. You got one reason and you couldn't think of the other reason, whereas you have more points to think of why you don't want a larger school. Yeah. So you can bring up those points and support your opinion about that a smaller school is better than the larger school. Right? So you can speak for your point and against the other point. So you will ultimately have about 2 to 3 points in your response. Right? Now let's look at this one before I take you on to the specific templates. So here it says some people prefer standing desks while others prefer sitting at their desk. Talk about the advantages. Now this is a little, now you pay attention to the wording of this question. Talk about the advantages and disadvantages of standing desks, right? So the question is that some people prefer standing desks while others prefer sitting desks. Now you have to read the entire question. Sometimes it could be advantages and disadvantages. or for your opinion for or against. Now, when it is advantages and disadvantages means, and it's specifically of standing desk only, right? So in this question, if you don't answer it properly, you will lose out on the points for the developing your response, right? So that means you have to be talking about both sides of the standing desk. So when you're talking about the disadvantages, you will be actually supporting the sitting desk. So what do you mean by standing desk?
It's basically the desk is higher so that you can use it while standing as compared to a normal desk.
So usually the type that you get where when you are speaking or giving a speech, yeah. So similar desk could be there in the classrooms also, where everyone is standing and writing. So now you have to be talking about the advantages and disadvantages of standing desk. So you can put down your points a little bit. So I'm not giving you a specific time for preparing right now, but I want points which can support your answer. So everyone put down at least 2 or 3 points with an example. So it says use details and examples in your answer. So you can even talk about some experience that you have had at some point of time. Okay. So I think enough time to put down your points. Okay, let's see. Saransh. Yes, Saransh, I would want you to respond. Yeah. Okay, I'll just put the timer on. Yes, you may start speaking. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
People who prefer standing desks get both advantages and disadvantages. Talking about the advantages, there will be no sign of obesity, as when we sit for more than 2 hours,
Hmm. Yes, go on. Whatever comes to your mind, you have a point. Continue with it.
uh, like when we sit for uh, more than 2 hours, there is a sign of obesity. So that will not be the case while using standing desks.
You already completed your 45 seconds. Now, what are the points that you wrote down, Saransh?
This point only.
Anything else?
And disadvantages, I wrote foot pain.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So now, when you started speaking, what was in your mind? Just the timing, or your point?
What did you say?
I asked you when you started speaking, what was in your mind? Was it just the timing, or was it your point that you had?
The point.
The point you had. Okay. Now, yes, it will take a little time to expand a point and get it down properly into a format. But this is just to give you an idea that when you start speaking on a topic given to you right there, it isn't very easy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So now, what will you do? Okay, let's see. I'll get another response from somebody. Suhana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, can you give me a little response on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you may start speaking.
I once went to science classes where there were standing desks, and I felt a lot of advantages as well as disadvantages. What I felt was that I used to have a lot of foot pain because I used to stand there while studying. And I also felt like it was easier for me to write and understand things while I was sitting. And when it comes to the advantages, I feel like standing desks made me more active and made me concentrate more and made me more alert. And standing for a long time also reduces back pain, which I feel like I've faced a lot while sitting for long hours.
Okay. So you still had about 5 seconds more. Right? But yes, you had a few points. Maybe they could be organized a little better. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we will be practicing more and getting to the organizing part of it. Okay, just a moment. I'll get you to the templates. Okay, I hope you can see the screen now. So now these points we already, this is, you will find the guidelines to all the sessions towards the end of the PDF or the book that you have. Yeah, the last section would be the guidelines for each section, that apart from the reading, the ones that you require most, the listening, speaking and writing sections. Okay, so as I already told you, there's no right or wrong answer. And yes, you can make up a few points. No problem on that, as long as you are very confident about what you're speaking. Right? Suppose you don't have an idea of something. You think about somebody else or some other situation and try to bring it into your response. So we came across the response was scored on general description, delivery, use of language, and topic development. Now, what do we do in the 15 seconds? Yeah, 15 seconds is not too long, but we can still manage our planning in those 15 seconds, right? So now what we will do is we will be using a template. Now, what do you mean by template? Anybody?
I guess that it's just like a fixed manner of speech.
So we draw up a format, and so that when we use a template, what happens is that this is an independent task. You know that you need 2 reasons and 2 examples. You know that your opinion is asked for, either for or against, right? So you have a few templates ready with you, and you remember those templates that will help you, number one, to begin your answer without any hesitation. Yeah, usually we start thinking now how to begin my answer. So it's like you can have your own template ready. We will share a few examples of templates, and you can formulate your own template for task 1 and stick to it. So when you stick to a template, no matter which question you are practicing, you follow the same type of template with a little variation here and there, of course, depending upon the question you get. So you know exactly how you are going to begin, right? And then it will be more or less, now when you come to the first reason, it will be like firstly, the second reason, secondly, or any other way you want to, but it has to be clear that this was my first reason and this was my second reason. And when you are given examples, say like the first reason you gave, and then you say that, for example. Yeah, so it becomes clearer for the examiner to understand what you have said, and for you also it becomes easier to organize your answer. So organizing your answer properly is very important. because you have to fit in everything into that 45-second slot. Yeah, and it should be meaningful, it should be complete, everything. So when we are talking about a template, so the different types of questions that can come up in the independent question would be like agree or disagree. Yeah, there's a point given to you whether you agree or disagree. Explain with reasons and examples. Then the personal preference, like the one we did the first question, right? Where do you prefer a smaller school or a bigger school? Then there could be an if or imaginary situation given to you. If you were given a chance to do this, what would you do? Would you do this or would you do that? That way. Say like if you are given say $1,000, how would you prefer to spend it? Would you prefer to spend it on buying luxury items for yourself, or would you want to save it for later? Right? Something of that sort. Now, description or explanation type of questions, where you can be asked questions like what, say any situation given to you, what should the, say the government spend on expanding the infrastructure? Explain why. Yeah, or you have been to a science exhibition. What was the most attractive part of the science exhibition? Or you are choosing a career for yourself. What are the things that you would be looking at in choosing a career? So those type of questions would come in. Then the advantage and disadvantage question that we came across. Yeah, and there would be the 3 choice question types. So like the one we did, the preference one. So these are usually the preference questions with 3 choices. We had one with 2 choices, that is for choosing between the small school and the larger school with more facilities. Similarly, you can have 3 answer choices, like they may ask you, which course would you prefer to take up? A computer science course, a literature course, or a history course for getting higher credit. Yeah, and then it will go on to explain with the help of with reasons and examples. So whatever question you get, you know that your opinion you have to express clearly. Now, in this 45 seconds to organize your answer, remember, give at least 2 reasons, right? So 2 reasons, each reason supported by an example. Now, when you are expanding those reasons and examples, you will find you are completing your answer. And another thing is important is the introduction. And these type of questions, since you have just 45 seconds to speak, a conclusion is not required. Remember that. You don't go on with a conclusion. Whatever you say is in your introduction. Right? So, and of course, you have to keep it straight to the point. Right? Don't beat about the bush and don't repeat. Now, when you are preparing, 2 clear points should be there. Right? So first thing, when you are answering the question, first thing you do is you introduce your topic. Take a side, that is express your opinion clearly in the beginning. Yeah. Like in the advantages and disadvantages also, you would be supporting at least one side. You were taking one side. Say you think that disadvantages are more, begin with the disadvantages, like Suhana did. If you think advantages are more, begin with the advantages, then go on to the disadvantages. Right? And as I said in the first question, you may also discuss the alternative to your position. So when you are talking about the advantages of a smaller school, you would go on to talking about the disadvantages of a larger school if you are supporting a smaller school, and vice versa. Right? So now coming to the template, say we have a question like this is an agree or disagree question. Do you agree or disagree that students should bring their cell phones to school? Use details and examples to support your explanation. So what is the main point if you break down the question? It is agree or disagree. So one of the sides you have to take. And your question is, should students bring cell phones to school? Yeah. So now coming to a template. So you will begin your answer with I agree or I disagree. Or say I do agree or I completely disagree. Right? And some people, or you can say some people, now there can be questions which are framed that way also, that some people believe that students should be allowed to take cell phones to school, while others believe that cell phones should not be given to students. But the reasons will not be given to you, reasons you have to be given. Right? So in that case, you can begin with some people believe that this, but I agree or I disagree to it, or if you are agreeing to it, then you can say that I agree to the opinions of the people who say that cell phone. Now, another thing you have to do is always write it down. Always paraphrase the question. Don't use the exact words, apart from some terms which you will not be able to paraphrase. Yeah. So say in this question, that students should bring their cell phones to school. Instead of that, what would you say? What can you say? Aditya, what can you say instead of students should bring their cell phones to school? So this will go into your introductory sentence. So it is very important.
I can like frame it such that it's my own opinion rather than others.
No, you have to say that when they say agree or disagree, then you have to take one side. Either you agree or disagree. So you begin with, I agree that. So if you think that students should not be allowed cell phones to school, so
Yeah.
how will you frame your sentence?
I just say the exact thing you just said. Like, I agree that students should bring their cell phones to the school.
Okay, so instead of should bring their cell phones, what else can you say? Anybody else? Akhil?
Should be allowed to bring cell phones.
Allowed to bring, that could be said. Yeah. Or should be allowed to take their cell phones to school. Right? So don't use the exact words. At least now when you are paraphrasing, you can use some of the words, and maybe now there are different ways that you can paraphrase the given sentence. Either you say it in your own words, so use different terms, or if you're falling short of terms and can't think of any other words, at least change the way it is being written. Yeah. So here in this said that you can say that cell phones should not be allowed for students to school. Yeah. Or students should not be given their cell phones when they go to school. So different ways of saying, but you have to remember that don't use the exact same phrase as in the question. Yeah. Okay, so you can begin with this particular question. If you're talking about, how can you begin? Anybody wants to begin this? Suhana, your first sentence, introductory sentence for this particular question. So here are your options. You can use any of them or any other way that you want to begin. But you have the first sentence should clearly state whether you are agreeing or disagreeing. Can you unmute yourself, Suhana? We can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I disagree that students should be allowed to bring their cell phones to school.
Okay. That can be said. Okay. Now, if you're saying that you disagree that they should be allowed to bring cell phones to school, now what will be your next sentence?
To
Your next
start with,
sentence.
and then I'll give a reason to support.
Okay. Now, the thing is that you have to make it clear that you are giving two reasons. Yeah. Then you can say that I think so because of the following two reasons, or I think so because of two reasons. Yeah. So your first sentence is introduction of your opinion and the topic. Second sentence is I think so because of two reasons. Yeah. So now you don't have to think of when you are talking about any topic which has a agree or disagree sort of question. You don't have to think of how to begin. I agree or disagree, then the topic. Second sentence is I think so because of two reasons. Then you go on to your reason. Your first reason, yeah, this will be your first reason. So when you're talking about the first reason, what would you do? You would give your first reason. Yeah. So you can say firstly or to begin with. So making it clear that this is your first reason and you know you are speaking about your first reason. Right? So this is a general template for any such question. So now one thing you can do in your 15 seconds that you get, you are thinking about your reasons, right? So all you have to do is now you know how to begin. So your first sentence, you know, your second sentence also you know, right? Okay. So your first sentence, second sentence will be for two reasons. Now when you come to your third sentence, you know exactly that this is about the first reason, reason number one. So when you're taking down notes, you have written down the reason over here, right? And then this will be followed by your example, right? Now once you've written down your example, at least now you don't have to write the entire thing in 15 seconds, you can't do that. So just the key word of the reason and the example. Next you go on to your sentence number 4, which could be your second reason. Yeah, your sentence number 4 will be your second reason, and that second reason will be followed by another example. So when you are taking down your notes, your first reason example, second reason example should be in front of you. And of course, when you are responding, you can look at your points, what you have written down on the paper, and respond. There's nobody in front of you. You need not even look at the screen while you are responding. Right? Yes, Varun? You're feeling bored or tired?
No, tired.
Okay, you had a long day. I think you're just halfway through your day. Okay, yeah, this particular timing is a little like a lethargic timing. So now you got it. So this is how you take down your notes. Yeah, first reason, second reason, first example, second example. This should be in front of you when you are speaking, right? And if you think that you have, as I said, a conclusion is not required, but if now the timer is in front of you, right? If you're talking about the advantages and disadvantages or agree or disagree, if you think that you still have about 4 seconds left, you can add a conclusion, right? Say now if you, or maybe you forgot to begin with that these for I think so because of the following reasons or because of two reasons. You didn't say it in the beginning. You can conclude with, therefore these are the reasons why I agree or disagree, or why I think that the advantages are more, or advantage or the disadvantages are more. So that way you can conclude if you have time, right? So more or less, if you follow a template of this sort, you can create your own template, but keeping in mind the time constraint, you have to have a fixed template for yourself, right? So once you have your template, it is always easy to begin your answer and continue. So you know exactly what is required and how you are going to respond. Yeah. And so, okay, anyone wants to attempt this question? Keeping in mind the templates. So I'm not going to be timing you. I just want the points and the framing of the sentence. Right? Anyone? Jay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you having a problem with your network?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you don't have a problem, you can switch on your video. Otherwise, you can have your video off and respond to this. So you understood how you need to respond? I hope
Yes.
you didn't miss out on anything on this.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So can you give me your points then? How would you begin?
Ma'am, I disagree with the point that students should bring their cell phones to school for mainly two reasons. That while studying, students get distracted due to cell phone addiction. And ma'am, I've not thought of any other point, right?
You can think. Now now one thing more while you are responding, this is very important. Like sometimes it may happen that you got just one point. Now the point that you've got, Jay, can you give an example to it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go on with the example. You said students may be distracted.
Yes.
So you can actually bring up an example of a particular student who was distracted and was distracting everybody else in class while you were trying to focus. Right? That could be an example. So you can be a little specific on it.
Oh.
Yes. So can you give me an example? I gave you the outline of the example. You may think of something else also. You have to be quick in thinking and responding. Yes?
No idea.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. But you have to start thinking. Okay. Now, one thing, what was the problem that you had while we were discussing? You were maybe you hadn't thought of any points, but one thing you can always do is, suppose you have thought of only one point in those 15 seconds, right? Now, while you are speaking, you can give yourself a little liberty of a very short pause to think. A pause wouldn't be more than half a second, right? A little bit. Or you can go on with say, so just a little pause to don't go completely blank, but a little pause will help you to bring in another point, right? So these are little strategies where if you get stuck, what do you do? According to me, or in one instance, now you're still thinking about the example. So in one instance, then you by that time you can get your example together, right? Okay, so anybody else has some points on this? No? Anyone wants to respond? Who wants to respond? Akhil?
Ma'am,
Yes, yes.
I have got an example, ma'am,
Okay.
that if mobile phones are allowed in school, students may start to play video games or use social
Right.
networking sites during lectures.
Right, that is a point. So that could also be taken as your second point. Right, instead of
Yes,
paying
ma'am.
attention, now if you see, you actually have 2 points. Number one is get distracted and distract others also. Secondly, instead of paying attention to the class, whatever is being taught, they could be playing video games or going on to other social networking sites and spending their time there and missing out on important topics taught in class, right? So you have to be able to expand a little on whatever points you have. Okay. Okay. Anyone wants to speak on the other side of it? That the students should be allowed to bring cell phones. Anyone thought of any points on that?
Ma'am, cell phone could act as a life-saving point if a student is in trouble or is in a part.
So can you formulate your entire response on that? Yes, Aditya? How would you begin your answer?
I have an idea.
Okay, Akhil, yes, you may go on. By
Ma'am,
the time, Aditya, you can think of your 2 points and examples.
ma'am, example, students are better able to communicate with their parents. For example, if a student has an extra class after the school, they can let them know that they will be late and not wait up for them. And also, cell phones help students to do their homework. For example, I like to use a calculator while solving maths questions to help me reach to the accurate answer.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, ma'am, cell phone could act as a life-saving device in case a student is in crisis or something like that. For example, a person is being bullied. He could call his friends or maybe parents and warn them of that, so he could be protected.
Okay, that could be. Okay, Varun, do you have any other point?
For agree or disagree? I mean, I guess you could say allowing students to bring a phone into school could help them. Uh, it could help them plan out their day and reach out to their parents if something happens.
Yeah.
Like if they were to if they were late to some sort of tuition or class after which was supposed they were supposed to reach after school, and they're not able to, they can contact the teacher and their parents and inform them that they're late or will be late, so that the parents and the teacher don't get worried. And yeah, I don't really have
anything else that could be an advantage to carry cell phones? Anything else? Any other advantages of cell phones in school? Maybe some extra assignments are usually sent by mail, or like you can say that nowadays technology is used widely in our curriculums also. Yeah. So you need to check on the assignments being sent by the school and whether you have received them or completed them. That could be an advantage. Now, another thing you can add at the end is that when you are saying that students should be allowed to use their cell phones, you can just add at the end that yes, every student should be able to use their cell phones responsibly. right? So it is not that, yes, they should be allowed, but yes, they should be using the cell phones responsibly, so that they are not the cell phones don't cause a nuisance while they are in class. That could be added, right? So if you see, there are quite a few points on both sides, whether you want to agree or you want to disagree on the topic, right? All you have to do is you have to be able to organize. Now, getting one thing that I am seeing, one thing you all have to be practicing is that any point you bring up, you have to be able to provide an example, right? So that you have to practice. Any point you get, example has to go in, right? And if you think that you are not getting 2 points, you can always see that the point you are raising, does it have a sub point to it? Or can you break it up into 2 points? That way also, if you think that, okay, Jay was giving his point, he actually had 2 points in it, right? So if you break up your point, you will easily get 2 points. Okay, now moving on, we can have another. Okay, let's look at this one. Do you agree or disagree that higher education means a better career? A simple one-line question. Now, first thing you see is it is agree or disagree. So your template will start with either I agree or I disagree. Then your question is the 2 points that you have here, higher education, and you link it to better career. Right? So these are things that you keep discussing all the time. Right? Something very common while you are in the 11th and 12th to discuss. So I'm sure you have a lot of points to think about it. Like what type of education leads to a better career, why. So here you can give your reason why. The why will be your example and your reason. So for example, so why it leads to a better career will be explained with the help of an example, right? So anyone wants to try this one? Any points you have? Suhana, you've been sitting quiet for quite some time.
Ma'am, can I get a few seconds to jot down the points?
Yes, everyone, of course, sorry. I didn't give you time to jot down points. So everyone can jot down a few points. I can get back to anybody else also. We have an examples also over here. So you can take up points and relate to them if you want to, or you can get some points of your own. Okay, so now you would have got your points together. You can respond. Suhana, unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, should I start?
Yes, you may start.
I agree that having a higher education enables one to have a better career. Nowadays, firstly, I think that nowadays with job scarcity, it's better to have more qualifications, and having a better education will help a person to have a better career. I can't think of another point.
So you talked about job scarcity.
Yes, ma'am.
So instead of job scarcity, you could say high level of competition.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. And because of the high level of competition, what is required?
Better qualifications.
So now you can break up that qualification into further details. What can you think of? Qualifications would lead to better skill sets, right? Now pick up an example about higher education or better skill sets. And unmute yourself, Swan.
Yes, ma'am. Learning more languages as well.
Okay.
Helps.
So take an example of a language. For example?
For example, if a person is planning to apply in a European country, for example, if a person knows French is a widely spoken language all over the world. So that will help them with more job opportunities.
Right. Anything else? Now it's talking about higher education.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. Now, anybody else has some other point?
So
yes, Varun.
We could say that if when a company is hiring individuals, they will always favor individuals with a higher level of education. So they would be more. They would be more. What to say? More. They would favor those who have something like a doctorate rather than a bachelor's, because it would mean that they have studied, they have more experience in that field, and they are, and it would be a better, it would be a better hire them, because they are more valuable of a resource than the others.
Okay. Okay. Now, if you look at the question, it says higher education means a better career, right? So now, instead of just generalizing, you could have a better response if you personalize it, right? Okay. Now, let us think of it this way, Varun. So, what is the subject that you want to take up in your major? Yes, Varun?
I'm still deciding that.
So, more or less,
what
is the career field that you want to go into?
I'm going into engineering. I'm planning to go into engineering.
Okay. So, anything specific in engineering, more or less?
No, not.
So, what are the options that you would have eliminated from your list?
Let's see, commerce.
Okay.
Arts, business studies, psychology, yeah, and of course, like a medical. So
okay. So when you're talking about engineering, which is the field that interests you most?
Let's see. Aeronautical engineering.
Aeronautical engineering. Okay. Now, if you think about higher education when you're going into, would just a graduation give you a very good career, or would a post graduation give you a better career?
A full graduation.
Post graduation. So now, if you're personalizing this, what would you be able to say about your career choice and why you would go into a post graduation for a better career opportunity?
Because that would make me more qualified for to be an engineer in aeronautics.
No, that you would be qualified even if you do undergraduate. Now, why would you want to do postgraduate? Because it would give you more experience. Now, one thing now in this type of question, one thing you have to be a little more specific, right? Now, what do you mean by higher education? What is the higher education giving you? More research opportunities, number one.
Better skills.
More internships, right? So internships means more of experience in that field by the time you get into your career. Now here you would, if you are looking at it from your point of view and your angle, that is what you want and why you would want to go in for higher education, I think you would be able to give more examples and a better answer. Right? Instead of looking at it from the point of view of the, say, the company who is hiring you, you want to see what you are gaining for a better career option. Right? So that way you will be able to form a better. Now, another thing you will be looking at is what is required in today's world. So get into the practicality of it. So now better career option, as Sonal said, there is more competition. So if there is more competition, the more skills you acquire, and the more, it's not just about the degrees that you are getting. It's about the skill sets you are acquiring. Higher education will give you more skill sets, and you will be able to compete better in this world. Right? So you, and say if you're going into a post-graduation, even in the graduation level and post-graduation level, if you are studying abroad, you will be going into a lot of research work. You will be even writing your research papers while you are in graduation, and post-graduation is a part of the course also. So keeping those things in mind, you can formulate your answer why you would think that higher education is better. Right? So there's a little hello Samyak. I think some other class. So now if you look at the response that is given here, you will find it goes according to the template, more or less. I do agree that a higher education enables one to a better career. Now, more or less, the question has been paraphrased. Yeah, the higher education is there, the better career is there, the middle part has been paraphrased. Right? Now, to begin with the advancement of technology and the advancement of the world itself, companies are becoming more complex. Yeah, so what are they looking for? That's what they're talking about. Now, if they want their company to succeed, they will need to have intelligent, knowledgeable, competent individuals working for them. So this is a response when you are talking about from the point of view of the companies. Right? Now, if you are to, now this was your first point. Now coming to your second point, in addition, having a higher education will give you an advantage. So now you began with the transition in addition. So clearly you are saying that this is the second point I'm coming up with. Right? Having a higher education will give you an advantage over the other candidates applying for the same job. Now here I would have preferred that there would be an example to this, but in this case there is no example. So half a point gone. Therefore, these reasons are why I agree that a higher education means a better career. Right? So instead of this conclusion, an additional point about an example here would make a better response. Right? So if you see, more or less it is according to the template. I agree or disagree the first sentence. Then to begin with, that is to say that this is my first point. In addition, to say that this is my second point. So the reason given, and this is an example that the companies want to succeed. They would want intelligent, knowledgeable people. And here, an additional example could be used. Right? Short, to the point, reason, example. That's what is required. Okay? So now this was just one example. We will go on tomorrow with a few more of the questions. In the meantime, you will go through the examples given and the template. So this next is the preference template. Yeah, choice between two opinions. So you can begin with I prefer, or according to me, or I prefer this over this, or I prefer this to this to that. Or I prefer to do this, or I would prefer to read this type of a book, And then you would, or you may say that according to me, or to me, this is preferable to, or I would rather do this than that. You know, I would rather take up a course in history than take up a course in psychology. Yeah. So this would be the template for your preference questions. Now, what you will do is you will go down. We will do this preference questions later. Now, there's a list of questions given to you. Scroll down about. Okay, here. So it begins with the agree or disagree question type. So there is a list of questions over here of the agree or disagree question types. Say about 25 to 30 questions. 30 questions. Out of these 30 questions, now what you will do is you will not pick and choose. That's one thing you will remember. Never try to pick and choose a question, because in the exam, any random question will come. You will not have the option of choosing anything. So at random, pick up one question, write down your template before that. Yeah. So while the question is being read out to you, you have time to write down your template. You have your template in mind. You can write down your points, put the timer on, see how much time you took to write. In 15 seconds, would you be able to prepare or not? And then you respond to one of them. Yeah, pick up any one at random. 30 questions. Out of the 30 questions, blindly put your finger on one of them and do it. You will, I don't expect a perfect answer right now, but you have to begin practicing, right? So at least 2 or 3 of them you can record yourself, as I said, and then listen to what you have said. You will obviously find that, okay, this at this place you could improve on. At that point, maybe your grammar was wrong. You paused a bit too much, or you were too fast. So what are the difficulties? You jot those down. So you know which are the areas that you have to improve upon, right? So this is a little homework you will do when you come in tomorrow. I want to hear from each one of you that you have done at least 2 to 3 questions. Now you know that completely doing one question takes not more than 1 minute. 15 seconds to prepare, 45 seconds to respond, right? Maximum reading the question, doing it, and then going through your recording will take you about 2 to 3 minutes maximum, right? So even if you give yourself 10 minutes, you will be able to do about 3 questions. Okay, so this is one task you have for tomorrow. Okay, take out 10 minutes at any point of time, do it, right? So I'll see you tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Today is Sunday. I was thinking today is Saturday. So I will see you on Saturday, in fact. Yeah, Saturday morning. Till the time, I think you have enough time. If every day, single day, you even pick up a few questions, you can go on with the other templates also and pick up a few questions from there and see how you fare, right? So we'll have one more day with the independent section, and then we will go on to the integrative section. Okay. Okay, then thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you all were able to figure out how you can go about this section, the independent task especially. Any doubts right now? Doubts will crop up only when you are practicing, right? So that's why practicing is very important. And by the time all of those who have been preparing for SAT till now will start preparing with your reading and listening sections of TOEFL. Yeah. So in the entire week, I want you to do at least 1 or 2 passages of reading, 1 or 2 of those listening tasks, and at least 3 to 4 of the speaking tasks recorded, right? And if you want, we can discuss, we can hear your recording in the next session and analyze and discuss what is wrong and how to improve on it. Okay? Okay, then. Thank you so much. Yes, Varun.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Varun, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just saying bye.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye. Okay, Akhil. Bye. Thank you,